This video is on suicide prevention. You guys got a lot of really stupid ideas. So I'm going to correct you on your stupid ideas. Number one, if somebody is telling you that they're suicidal, they're reaching out to you. They need help. What help do they need? Well, for starters, they need you to listen. They don't need you to interrupt them to tell them pretty memes. They don't need you to tell them how to feel or how to think. They need you to listen. If you're not listening, you are invalidating their emotions. You're invalidating their opinions. You are invalidating them as a human being, which is probably why they're suicidal to begin with. So, step one, shut up and listen. This is a lot easier to do if you're sober. Because people who are not sober, they want to talk about themselves nonstop. Me, I want to save the world. It's pretty important to me. But it's not easy. A lot of people get the wrong idea. I hear people all the time telling me that if I'd have done this or I'd have done that, everything would have turned out fine. What all of these people are throwing out the window is the fact that they have someone working together with them. So you guys have a bad habit of turning away. When somebody doesn't do what you want them to, you throw them away. So if you're able to throw them away like that, you don't care. Turning them on to somebody else, that's a stupid idea. There was a lady last night who has a friend who's suicidal. So I started explaining to her how to interact with him in order to help to ease the situation. She thought that I would be a better person for it. No, he didn't turn to me, he turned to her. But she was pretty insistent and I gave it a try. Well, he was more insulted than anything else. I understand completely. I understand his point of view more than hers. Why? Because when I need a friend to listen, I don't have one to listen. I don't. What I end up with is people hitting the little suicide button up at the top. Shawn's suicidal, so we're going to click the button and complain that he's suicidal to Facebook so that he can call Suicide Hotline or the Irish We Care line. You know what? I called Suicide Hotline. I was on Suicide Hotline waiting for 15 minutes. What are they going to do? Are they going to bring Natalie back? No. Are they going to get me a lawyer? No. Are they going to get me a roof over my head? No. Right now I've got severe anxiety because somebody else is taking care of me and everything is way overdue. Money is the number one reason that people kill themselves. It's also the number one reason that people get divorces. Why is this? Because when you don't have money, people treat you like shit. They can do whatever they want to you. So understand that some people just don't want to talk. They don't want to just talk to you. They're trying to get help finding a solution. However, there are dynamics that a pretty meme isn't going to fix. So you still need to go back to rule number one and shut the fuck up. Wait until they're finished. They will cue you when it is your turn to speak. The reason people liked me so much down on Pearl Street is because I actually listened. But there aren't very many people who know how to listen. Natalie listened extremely well. She was the last decent listener that I knew. Now there's a lot of people who are on substances. If you're drunk, that's the wrong time for you to try to comfort somebody because you're number one, you're drunk. You're not going to listen. You want to talk. It's your turn to talk. You hear something that they say and it reminds you of a story and you have to tell that story. Right? And they may be halfway through a sentence, but you've just interrupted them halfway through their sentence 5 times in a row because you're fucking drunk. So if you're drunk, you let them know that you will get a hold of them when you are sober. And when you're sober, you get a hold of them, you let them know that you're listening, and then you shut the fuck up. Don't turn them on to somebody else. Don't say, talk to this person or talk to that person. See, that's the problem with you guys. You guys want an instant fix, instant gratification. That's what America is all about. I must have my instant gratification. I want my idea to fix Shawn. No, my idea is going to fix Shawn. Shawn, if you do their idea instead of mine, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. Don't do stuff like that. Don't. If they're venting to you, they don't need you to stop and tell them a bunch of stupid shit. If they're venting to you about their boyfriend or girlfriend or ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or even just a friend that they've lost, don't start trash talking that person that they're talking about. Because again, you are invalidating them. Like, I miss Natalie, alright? She was a very good friend of mine. I miss her. Instead of telling me, oh dude, she's a rotten ass hoe, why the hell were you even friends with her? Instead of doing that, go back to rule number 1 and shut the fuck up. Rule number 2. Well, I didn't think it through that far now, did I? There is no rule number 2. You just need to shut up. You will get a cue from that person when it's your turn to speak. Maybe they'll ask you a question. But when somebody needs your help, it's not a conversation that you're having. Don't try to have a conversation. Don't chit-chat. Don't small talk. America doesn't know how to have meaningful conversations. They only know how to small talk. You want to talk about coyotes. All right, fine, let's talk about coyotes. But if I'm suicidal, I don't need to hear about your fucking coyotes for 4 or 5 hours. I don't need to hear every little thing that happened in your day. Oh, well, I went to the grocery store, and then, I went and put it in the bag, and I went home, and no, you're, again, invalidating them because your story is more important. What you have to say is more important than what they have to say. So go back to rule number 1 and shut the fuck up. Although there is a rule number 2, I don't want to give it to you. Why? Because I've got anxiety, and every time that I start speaking to you, you don't revert to rule number 1 and shut the fuck up. You start speaking. So now I'm afraid to tell you anything more because you keep speaking over me and invalidating me as a human being. Then you tell me you love me. Do you really? Do you really? I had one guy, he said, Shawn, I'm not the guy to talk to. The last person that came to me and talked to me about suicide, I wasn't any help, and he killed himself. And there's a reason for that. Because you wouldn't pay attention to rule number 1, which is shut the fuck up. Rule number 2 is don't revert it to somebody else. Rule number 3, if there is a pause, that person is feeling something, and it may take them a moment to express it. So you need to revert to rule number 1 and shut the fuck up. Are you guys seeing a pattern here? For me, I'm in a state of constantly overwhelmed all the time. I need someone, a friend, to sit down with me one-on-one and find out what's been going on without talking over me. And I literally have not had that. Now, there's a few people who, they listen to me talk for a while. Like Dan Fabert, he listened to me talk for about 45 minutes one night, and I was extremely grateful for that. However, He interrupted me just a few times, which was fine. It was at the end of the conversation, the very end of it, that he invalidated it. Because I was venting about a situation, and he wanted to tell me how I needed to feel. There's your rule number 3. Don't tell people how to feel. Understand why they feel that way, which means you need to shut the fuck up. You seeing a pattern here yet? When somebody is suicidal and they come to you, they need you to listen. Natalie needed somebody to listen. That's why I went to Virginia. I went there specifically to rescue people. By the time I got there, only 2 people needed rescued. I rescued one of them my first day there, second day there. I think it was actually my first. And the second person was supposed to be Natalie. She needed someone to listen to her. The whole time I was there, she kept telling me she wanted to talk to me. She wanted to talk to me. She wanted to talk to me. And her sister just wasn't having it. I mean, it finally got to the point where on my birthday, we were going to have a picnic in her driveway or somewhere close by, you know? Somewhere where her family could see. Somewhere where they wouldn't be afraid for her. And that didn't get to happen. The whole time I was in Virginia, I mean, Alicia dominated all of the conversations. All of them. She invalidated me. She invalidated her own sister. Alicia was always the popular one. Why can't you just allow your sister to be popular just this once? Because at that point it wasn't a popularity contest. I was worried about Natalie fucking killing herself. Now, a lot of people have told me pretty words that they never intended or meant. My little sister's one of them. She didn't want me to kill myself. My mom was horrendous to me at my sister's house and let me know that she didn't give a fuck what I had to say. She already had pre-prepared excuses. She wanted to hide behind my little sister. She wanted to hide behind my niece. Why did she do that? Because she can't win an argument with me. I'm too smart. I'm too intelligent. I have too much attention to detail. With somebody who's got a lot going on in their head, it might take them a minute. If you ask them a question, it might take them a whole minute to process the question because there's so much going on. So you need to shut the fuck up. It's not a conversation that you're having. They need somebody to listen. Girls who cut themselves, they cut themselves because nobody listens. They want to tell them those pretty words. Cut them off mid-sentence all the damn time. And that's the problem with people who are abused. We're too submissive. We allow people to talk over us. We allow people to make us feel like less than human beings because they want to make suggestions that don't have any bearing on our lives. Telling me that, let's say my feet hurt because I have crappy shoes. Now, I'm not going to be suicidal over my feet hurting, but I've got crappy shoes because I don't have enough to get nice shoes. Somebody wants to tell you, somebody who's got a husband who pays half the bills, right? She wants to tell you that, well, you know, you should buy a $230 pair of shoes that'll last you longer and your feet will feel better. Well, the problem is I don't have $230. There's only one of me paying my bills. And that's not enough to keep a roof over your head. So when it comes down to it, in that situation, they don't have the money to do what it is that you're suggesting. You need to stop suggesting it. Me, it doesn't matter if it's a $20 pair of shoes or a $200 pair of shoes. I'm going to wear them out. I walk everywhere. Another thing, when somebody is suicidal, rule number 4, when you say you'll do something, follow through. If you say you'll meet them somewhere, follow through. If you genuinely care about them, you're not going to brush them off to go partying, to go drinking and trying to get laid. If they're not worth one night of your life to stop and listen, to sit and chill with and hang out with, and just let them know that it is about them tonight. They are worth something tonight. Then you don't care about them at all. You're pretending to care. You're going through the motions of caring. But you don't actually care because they're not worth that one night. For me, having people tell me that they listened to me, well, they didn't listen to me. They were busy talking over me the whole time. That happens a lot. Dan Faber, he listened to me that night, but he didn't listen with the intent to understand. He listened with the intent to reply, to give me a quick fix. The problem is that it's not just money. See, Dan was the guy who was paying most of the money for my bills, paying $600 a month out of my disability to go running around to where all the courts wanted me to go, for the problem not to be resolved, for the police not to take my report, for them to separate me and prevent me from having the money to go to those places. I needed people to understand that. I didn't need people to understand that. I needed one person to understand that. I've got a list over here of hundreds of people that I interacted with since Natalie's death trying to get help. I needed one of them to stick with me. None of them did. And that's something that if you genuinely care about them, you stick with them. You don't try shoveling the rhetoric that your grandpa taught you at them. You try to help them how they need, because you're not going to know how to fix their situation, but they will. They're in their situation. They know it'll help. So, again, you need to shut the fuck up and listen. Chances are pretty good they just need somebody to listen to them. But if there's problems beyond that and they need help with it, they will tell you if you stop telling them pretty words.